NParks adopts a holistic, science-based approach to wildlife management and works closely with the community to promote harmonious human-wildlife coexistence. NParks works with various stakeholders, such as nature groups, academics, agencies, and the community in its public education and outreach efforts. This is one of the key thrusts of NParks' wildlife management approach. For example, NParks partners these stakeholders to develop educational resources and outreach initiatives to advise the community on how to respond to wildlife sightings and to raise public awareness on the negative impact of feeding wildlife. In addition, NParks works with stakeholders to host its monthly Human-Wildlife Encounters webinar series to promote responsible behavior during such encounters. NParks also works with nature groups as part of various working groups to manage wildlife, including co-creating plans to address issues such as wildlife rescue, rehabilitation, and release. As part of NParks' science-based approach to wildlife management, NParks also conducts population surveys and research studies to better understand the distribution of wildlife in Singapore. For example, by identifying wildlife hotspots, NParks is able to implement mitigation measures against roadkill, such as putting in place vehicle speed reduction measures. Notwithstanding this, NParks may have to carry out measures such as the removal of wildlife to safeguard public safety where needed. NParks will continue to work closely with the community to promote harmonious human-wildlife coexistence as part of our efforts to transform Singapore into a city in nature. All of us can also play our part by not feeding wildlife, keeping our residential areas clean, and appreciating wildlife from a safe distance.
Could I ask specifically whether we can stop the poisoning of wild animals? And I know we are doing that currently, and the problem here is that it's not just the target species that dies, but there's a huge knock-on effect. I mean, just recently, ACRES rescued a white-bellied sea eagle who had consumed a poisoned wildlife, and thankfully it's recovered and released back into the wild. But there are many cases where cats, dogs, other animals consume the poisoned animal and they then subsequently die.
Our approach towards wildlife management, as I've mentioned, is we would have to be very much based on the science of animal management. We would need to study the ecology, and where possible, we have to work on the upstream measures. The upstream measures are very key, and that includes food source reduction. So this is where we place a lot of our efforts. Where necessary, we would also consider animal control measures, but these would have to be done in a humane and safe manner. With regards to the use of poisons specifically, NParks does not use poison in the control of pest birds, and NParks is also working with the town councils to encourage them to move away from the use of toxins and to adopt animal control measures and practices that are humane and safe.